By now, I think we've all seen the videos of the Walk of Honor. I know I've seen them. They've made me cry, where you have the brain dead person on a stretcher going down the halls, lined with the doctors, the nurses, the staff, and the family to say goodbye to this noble person who's giving their organs because another person can live. It's made me cry. I've been an organ donor since I've had my driver's license, and I never saw anything wrong with it. There is absolutely nothing wrong with donating one's organs. I want to say that up front. But what I saw was another video where a mother was in the hospital. Her son was in the hospital. The mother was weeping at his bedside. He was a young teen or an early 20s male. And they were gently, but what will not any longer by me be seen as lovingly, shaming this poor mother because she wasn't giving up her child's organs yet. And they gave this argument like, he signed it, ma'am. It's on his driver's license. You can save so many people. Let's go. Basically, let's do this thing. Let's take this kid's organs. And I saw how this grieving mother was being shamed because she wasn't willing yet to literally hold the plug on her child in that minute and let his organs come out on that minute. Now, I'm 60 years old and I have seen organ donations for years. And correct me if I'm wrong, but even after a person has just died, you're still able to take their organs. My sister's a paramedic. I've known of people who have died on roadsides and they've collected their bodies after they were pronounced dead and still harvested the organs. So what is happening is, in this culture of death, we are really more highly valuing productivity. Well, we can never use this kid anymore. Come on, someone else can use the organs. And making us think on to the next thing and devaluing the life of that young man laying in that bed at that time and that mother. You want to know the great irony? Is a couple minutes later, the next video that came up on my feed was a young man who had been in a coma for 5 years and came out of it. Just yesterday, I saw an article on how supposedly brain dead people are still showing signs of life. Their brain is not showing absolute so-called brain death. And yet they're harvesting those organs. I'm making this video so that we can start some pushback, because this is a slippery slope. And I do believe I'm going to change my driver's license to not say organ donor. Now, that doesn't mean if I die quickly, my husband, my children don't have the right then to say, all right, now let's give her organs away. But I'm not going to do it such that there's an excuse that other people can quickly harvest them when there is a chance that I am still alive or might be able to live. When we start crossing these lines and devaluing life, or valuing more so productivity, we get onto the slippery slope of thinking of only what's in front of us, thinking of ourselves. And I'm not saying people who harvest organs are thinking of themselves or thinking of the next person. But then there's a dollar value attached. Look what's happening in China. Forced organ harvesting. These things happen because we no longer value the human who these organs are beating, are living. We've seen how aborted baby body parts. First, it was a blob of tissue, then it was an abortion. Now doctors admit it's living. Even people who've had abortions have said, yeah, I know I'm killing my kid. And yet I've also heard abortionists say how it's better if they don't crush the organs or get the organs while it's still alive. Of course, they don't say it exactly in those words. But we have become so depraved that we can take something that most of us thought was really, really wonderful and turn it into something evil. Now, if you're watching this and you have received a heart or eyes or something from another person, I praise God for that. I still hope that if I'm in that place, that someone can make use of my organs. But we are starting to see carelessness. We're starting to see people care only about the recipient and not so much about, in this example, this mother. Her child was very, very much alive. And so what if he could never speak to her again? Maybe he could. Maybe he would come out of this. But what if he couldn't? Does his life cease to be valuable because he can't get a job? Because he can't pay taxes? Or is he valuable merely because he's made in the image and likeness of God? Now she takes him off of a life support machine and sits there next to him and sees if the Lord chooses to let him die or lets him live without life support. That's a different story. But if the Lord chooses to take the person, then you can take his organs. I know I'm going to get a lot of crazy comments on this one. I am pro-life, but I'm not pro taking the life of one person out of convenience just to help another person. God's plan is better than our plan. And he kept life in that person who appears to be comatose because it was his choice. And only once God and God alone has chosen to end the life of that person should we start cutting him open and taking his organs. You can give me all the arguments you want about how it's better. It doesn't start dying. You can give me all the arguments you want. But a person has value if they're alive, no matter what they're able to say or think or do. Does it work for that mom? Does it work for us when we have to take care of someone who has a feeding tube? Yeah. But since when did we become a society of, you know what? I don't want to have to take care of you. Let me put you in a nursing home. Let me get rid of you because it's going to be too hard on me. We are not those people. I've met a million really, really good people. And I'm not judging you, by the way, for those of you who've put your family members in nursing homes on a whole different subject. But I am starting to get a bigger picture when I watch things like this mother being pushed to allow her son to be forced to die before his time. I don't know if I should say this, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Post nicely, respectfully in the comments below. I think this is a conversation we can have. We just need to start opening each other's minds. Be loving, be kind, be respectful, give all sides of the story. But most of all, keep your eyes fixed on God. If you do that, decisions are going to be the best they can possibly be. I'm Dr. Christine Bacon. Thanks for watching this Bacon Bit. And as always, remember to live your life sunny side up.